Why, hello. I would today like to talk about the potential of one of the new double rares for Pale Moon. Starlight Melody Tamer Farah is one of the new boss monsters that Pale Moon has at their disposal. She did, however, come out in the same set as Luquier, which is everyone's waifu. It's basically the waifu of Vanguard. With that shadow being casted over Farah, I thought it would be nice to put a spotlight on her so she could shine on a stage of her own. Now, if you haven't seen my previous potential of video, at the end of this video, I will be giving this unit a grade between 0 and 3. 0 being this card is trash, don't play it unless it's your waifu or husbando. A 1 is a unit that is very niche and will either rely on future support to be able to be played or will have very little use. A 2 is something that is a lot more flexible, something that could be played in a lot more decks than I think it currently should be, but I still kind of understand why it is not in every build. And then a 3 is, I think I found a diamond in the rust. This unit needs to be added to like every deck if possible, maybe even as play sets. And obviously, I would like to give every one of these units a 3, but I also don't want to mislead you, so I will try to be as fair as possible. Now, Farah's ability is on your main phase, you Persona Blast, Soul Charge 2, and then call a card from your soul. That card gets plus 3k. Now, right off the bat, something we can take note of is that she doesn't have a cost in the normal way of that she doesn't use Counterblast and she doesn't use Soul Blasting. She does, however, use Persona Blasting, which means if you don't draw into a second one of her, then she is a vanilla. So to keep this from happening, I decided to originally build the deck with so many cards that draw. After the drop of this new set, the introduction of many units that draw was added, so I thought that that was just a perfect synergy. This included adding Pale Moon's Libra clone, and I even tried adding like the really bad 7k. If you have a full board, you draw a card. Yeah, he wasn't very good. I was also building the deck to be a little more aggressive, revolving around the Crimson Beast Tamer idea. This is where you try to get her into your soul as soon as possible, which is very easy with Dancing Princess. And then while she's in the soul, we have Barking Manticore as a backup ride, which will also let us draw, which will possibly let us get more Farahs in our hand, and then also have access to a 10k booster with Turquoise. I decided to scrap this build because the more I was playing it and the more you would read into Farah, she does set up your soul very good. That Soul Charge 2 allows you to get a lot more resources and give us a lot more flexibility in what we call. In the end, this is how I decided to build the deck. I didn't really want to go this route because it has a lot more triple rares than I would have liked. As you can see, I don't have a single copy of Fortress, but the deck really relies on Fortress, and I'm okay with that because the idea of this isn't to make a deck that revolves around the unit, in this case Farah. It is more to show what Farah can do for the clan and how it is applicable. So Fortress's ability is that when he is retired, you call another one out from the soul. This means that when your opponent slams into him as an interceptor, you then get to call another one out to continue blocking. Fortress obviously synergizes very well with Luquier, since Luquier gets a plus every time he is called during your opponent's turn. The nice thing about using him with Farah is that you will have a lot easier time getting him into the soul. We obviously have access to Dancing Princess, which is going to help us get Fortress into our soul. And as a backup ride target, I am using Golden Beast Tamer. She synergizes a little bit weird with Fortress in the way of that Fortress is a chimera, which means that when you ride her, you call him out from the soul. This is a good and bad thing. It is good if you do not have a Fortress in hand, but have lots of Fortresses in the soul, so you can already start that engine going. It is bad if that one Fortress that you called out was needed in the soul, because you cannot deny the call. I really like using Golden Beast Tamer after I've already activated a Farah, because once her Persona Blast is used, she is just kind of a 11k vanilla. It is very hard to get her ability to go off twice. So what Golden Beast Tamer allows us to do is that it allows us to kind of switch gears after our Fortress goes off from being defensive to offensive. The downside of Golden Beast Tamer is that on the English side of Vanguard, we still do not have selective soul blasting. So the 2 cards that you get rid of might be cards you wanted to use for your combos. For the multi-attacking, we're obviously playing the 4 Alices and the 4 purple trapezes for our extending. I totally can see you cutting down to 3 of each and then maybe splashing in more soul charging units. I just think that Farah gives us enough access to soul that we don't need it. So we might as well go a little more aggressive because we are going to probably get a guaranteed fortress play at some point. This being a defensive build, I also decided to add in 4 of the 10k vanilla, just because if we don't have a fortress out, we can still use our Farah to call out a free Cerberus and get us a little more defensive even before a fortress can get out. Now I'm currently trying out Midnight Bunny to give us more access to multi-attacking after a fortress play. The problem of this defensive build is that it's going to give us a little bit harder time getting access to counterblasting because our opponent is not going to be able to damage us as easily. This means that Midnight Bunny is clashing with Alice in which unit we're going to want to be using our counterblast for. One unit I'm actually really enjoying is Fire Juggler. Originally, I didn't like her because she casts to boost the Vanguard, and it is luck reliant because it has to hit a trigger. I ended up really liking her because her ability of getting to call a card out in exchange for putting her into the soul is free. It doesn't use our counterblast. And what I really like is it doesn't need to hit. Both Alice and Midnight Bunny both need to hit the Vanguard to be able to use their calling ability. Fire Juggler just needs to get the grade 3. So that means on a final turn push, when your opponent PGs, if you hit a trigger, Fire Juggler is still going to be able to pop off and allow us to extend our plays. I don't think I would play more than 2 of her, because something you can even do is place her behind a rearguard circle. You can then use purple trapezes to put her into the soul, move some cards around, and then later on in the game put her behind the Vanguard circle when you need her. So she's more of here as a tech, but I think she's a lot more powerful than I give her credit for. And then I am playing the Innocent Magician as our starter. This deck doesn't revolve around Farah, but it definitely is hindered if Farah is not going to be able to go off at least once in a game. So Innocent Magician is going to at least guarantee us a Farah play at some point in the game. He also gives us access to the whole grade 3 toolkit that we have, and able to get us an Alice if we need it, or a Golden Beast Tamer if we are going for a final game push. Obviously, we're playing 9 draws. The draws are going to be able to help us draw into Farah. It is also going to allow us to draw into our other pieces that we need, as in Fortress, Alice, Purple Trapezes, PGs. Something to keep in mind about this deck is that Narukami is very prevalent, and Narukami wrecks this deck. Not only can it turn off our Fortress as an interceptor, it can also use Vermilion and just slam us for face repeatedly. I think if you compare this deck to a Luquier build, I think it is just kind of easy to say that Luquier is just a better boss monster. She doesn't have soul charging built into herself, but the rest of the deck that is built around Luquier can do that very easily. The deck that Luquier is in is also a lot more combo heavy, which means it can be a lot more aggressive, while at the same time being defensive with her 2k and Fortress combos. Since Farah does not help with multi-attacking and needs to be on the Vanguard to do anything, she cannot really be splashed into a Luquier deck. She also needs the Persona Blast to even do anything, and as we know, Persona Blast can be very touch and go, but with the way I think I've built this deck, it seems very easy to get to a second copy. Overall, I think that Farah is definitely a grade 2. Like I said, I don't think she is splashable, but I definitely think that she helps set up combos a lot easier than Luquier does. So I believe if you are wanting to build a deck that does not revolve around Luquier, or you have not pulled your copies yet but still want to play a fun Pale Moon build, I think Farah is definitely the way to go. Whew, feels good to give something like a good grade, because like that Yaksha video put me down so much because like I missed some stuff. I really liked him. So please let me know in the comments if you are interested in playing around with Farah. If you think I'm completely off base, I'd also like to know your opinions. I have a couple more potential of videos in the works. If you have any units that you are interested in playing but are not sure about how to go about the deck, I would also like to hear about them. Never know how to end these. That's all I got.